if the Yankees lost last night, like they were getting swept. That's how this season has gone. I was even going into that game, my notes, my prep for the show were way more negative. And as Brett Gardner got a big hit yesterday, I deleted all of them because what the pitching was able to do yesterday, though, and you talked about leaving all those guys on base, 12 hits, only 4 runs, not the best, but they got timely hits, Brett Gardner and DJ LeMahieu specifically. And it doesn't matter when your pitching is as good as it is. And it was kind of a bullpen day yesterday, but Nestor Cortes has been outstanding. And if the Yankees do really turn around, I think he's the face of the turnaround because coming in, I think the lowest of lows might have been that game 1 versus the Mets that we talked about on Nosebleeds where Chapman blows the save, you fall to 500, a chance where the Mets can sweep you, you fall to under 500. There would have been the talk of the town, would have been the talk of baseball overall. And Nestor Cortes is able to be a stopper there. He gives you, 3+ innings of great baseball. The offense does just enough. And he was even better versus an Astros lineup, which was the best in baseball, average, OPS. You look at it, they were top 3 in every category. And so he gives you 4 2/3 shutout innings. And with the story of this Yankees team, the bullpen has been there all year. It really has. Yes, there have been some flare-ups, and that's particularly Chapman. But they are able to keep you in games. And the Chad Green, Jonathan Loaisiga combo, both, I don't know if they're necessarily all-star snubs just without looking at it in front of me, but these two had great cases. I think they're number 1 and 2 in pitching WAR for relievers in the AL. And so I love the move, one, to not go to Chapman here. I've been calling for let him earn this role back. And since that meltdown versus the Mets, we did see him versus the Mariners in that 12-1 game. He looked shaky, bases loaded, got out of it, whatever. He's still finding himself. And so there's no reason to give him the closer role back or set a designated closer until then. I like how they're kind of going with the hot hand. But, yeah, big win versus the Astros. You have to continue with that because if you do lose 2 out of 3, it looks just as negative. So I love the move to go out of the closer role and to kind of go with the hot hand, as I just said. I'm wondering what your thoughts are because I'm coming to a take here, Dylan, just to wrap up, where I think overall abolish the closer role. Like that's a take of mine. Even if Chapman gets back to 100%, go with the hot hand. I don't see why not.
I was literally just about to finish with that myself, but first to say a thing about Nestor Cortes is, he is proof that a starting pitcher does not need to go 7-8 innings in order to make a real difference on your team. Mm-hmm. You talk about him being the face of the turnaround. He really is kind of just he's a guy who can hold things. He's a very bullpen era starter, and that can be a good thing for a team. So Cortes, I thought it was a very impressive start, even if he got a no decision in a 4-0 win for the Yankees against Houston on Friday. But this bullpen is really good at holding things down. We haven't gotten to see it as much this year because the Yankees have not had a ton of opportunities to just hold things down over an extended period of innings, but they're a good bullpen. My goodness, I didn't even realize, I hadn't given it too much thought. In terms of Chapman, I see no reason why a team needs to have a specific closer unless you have a guy who is just so lights out, shut down in the 9th inning, like Josh Hader for the Brewers, or what Edwin Diaz has been for the Mets, or what Mariano Rivera obviously was for such a long time for the Yankees himself. I think the post Mariano Rivera Yankees feel the need to have a closer because they think it's just some kind of established thing you need to keep up. But you don't need to do that, especially when your bullpen is as good shutting things down late in the game as they prove that they can be. So, I see no reason to give it back to Chapman either. If he is eventually able to turn things around and be lights out after a certain period of time, I don't think this Astros series is the right place to bring him back into things. I just feel like this is going to be a disaster for him. But, next week against the Red Sox, give him some opportunities. And if he earns it back, he earns it back. That's great. But there are enough arms in this bullpen, and there's enough, good matchup managing that can be done to not even particularly need a guy who comes in the 9th inning every time.
Yeah, it's funny because we talked about maybe that Red Sox series the first time. I want it to be the All-Star game. I think that's the perfect low leverage situation to get him right. So funny because it's the All-Star game, but that's the only, close game I want to see Chapman right now. One that doesn't impact the Yankees at all. And if we're being completely fair, if you came to me and said, let's abolish the closer rule, in the middle of May, I would have said, get the hell out of here, because Chapman was that shutdown closer you just talked about, that Josh Hader is. But I think I do really believe that there is no need to have a closer role. And I get the Mariano Rivera thing. And the Yankees have been blessed post Mariano Rivera to never have a bad bullpen. Even in the years they were bad, you had Rafael Soriano, David Robertson, Del Matanzas, 4-time All-Star. They have been really spoiled with never having a bullpen that's killed them. In my lifetime, I've never had that agony, that pain of a long stretch where the bullpen blows games. And so I think that goes into a deeper thing. And this is particularly important with the Yankees and how they're trying to shed money is don't pay for relievers. Don't spend more than $8 to $10 million on the open market for a reliever. I think they have $30 million tied up in Aroldis Chapman and Zach Britton. There's no need to do that. When you can develop a Chad Green, a Jonathan Loaisiga, when you can find a Lucas Luque thin air out of baseball for 5 years, you're able to find him. He got big outs yesterday. He's been big all season. When you're payroll, when you're trying to get onto the luxury tax, I think that he's really need to look to, because we talk about how they can improve and with what assets, because the money is such a big issue. It's don't pay relievers, because to the Yankees' credit, are they the best developing starters? No. Have they brought up a lot of young talent the last 2 years? No. But the bullpen is the one thing they always ace. They are always able to find relievers who can ball. And so when you're able to do that to your success, why pay 30 plus million for that luxury?
Absolutely. And just because I know we got to wrap up here real quick, I'll just make this point, because based on what I was saying, and I feel like it doesn't get said enough, the post Mariano Rivera Yankees, but also the post Derek Jeter Yankees, it's been a real adjustment we've seen over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years to watch a team that had such stable institutions at those specific positions so long, try and figure things out and come to an understanding that it's not going to be as stable for them as it was with Derek Jeter and as it was for Mariano. So that's something the Yankees have had to deal with. And, I feel like the Chapman situation is just an example of that. And that's a little off topic, but I feel like people don't say that enough. And I just wanted to get that off my chest.